Have you wanted to have ducks on your farm? Or maybe you were just curious about them but didn't know if you really wanted them. Well, today we're going to give you 10 secrets for raising ducks that nobody will tell you. Secret number 1. Ducks just simply aren't preyed upon as much as chickens are. I mean, they still have their predators and things that can attack them, but in general, they aren't preyed on as much as chickens. So they're a little bit safer in your herd than if you had just chicks. Secret number 2, ducks don't need a fancy coop or anything to lay on. They just need some bedding and straw and they can go in there. Unlike chickens that'll need a roost, nesting boxes, all this other stuff. Secret number 3 is that ducks will actually mostly take a hiatus from laying over the wintertime. This is different than chickens where they just kind of slow down. But ducks, on the other hand, most of the time will actually take a complete hiatus and won't lay all winter. Secret number 4, and this one will probably shock you as it did to me when I was getting ducks, is that they love to swim and they love to swim in a pond and everything, but they don't need a pond on your property. We have a small one that they can get in and enjoy, but they don't actually need it to survive. What they do need is a watering system where they can get their whole beak and possibly head in there, and that cleans out their nose and their nostrils and everything to make sure it's all clean. That's all they really need. A pond would be nice, but you don't need it. Secret number 5 are that ducks are actually great garden helpers. Now, we let our chickens and ducks into our garden all the time to help clean out our garden. The problem is that the chickens will actually not only eat the bugs, but will have a tendency to eat the plants as well, which can cause problems. Ducks, on the other hand, have a much higher tendency of just being able to eat the bugs rather than the plants. Secret number 6 is that their poop is actually great fertilizer. Now, it's very similar to the chicken manure where you do have to let it rest for about a year, and that's just because the nitrogen content of it is very high. But after it's rested for a year, you can toss it in your garden and it works amazingly. So we have our pile here, that includes our goat manure too, as you can tell. But next summer, this will be perfect for using in our garden. Secret number 7 is that if you have male ducks, because maybe you want ducklings or you just ended up with male ducks as well, or sometimes called drakes, they do mate with the females. And this can actually look fairly dramatic sometimes. So especially if you have a pond, it can look like they are kind of drowning the female ducks, for lack of a better way to describe it, but that's okay. They are not drowning. That is just part of their normal way of mating. It actually just looks worse than it is. Secret number 8 is that you can actually raise ducks as well as chickens in the same area. Now, if you do this, I do recommend starting them off from a young age together so they do get along well. For example, we have our ducks and chickens in the same area, and while they do stick to their own, like ducks on one side, chickens on the other, they do get along with each other. And the one note to this though is if you do have drakes or male ducks, you want to make sure to have a good ratio of drakes to female ducks, probably like a 1 to a 6 ratio, so 1 drake to every 6 female ducks. And that's just because if you have too many drakes, they can try to mate with the chickens, the hens, and that can just cause issues, and you just don't want it to happen. But overall, they get along great and really help your yard. Secret number 9 is that ducks are actually very hardy birds. Ducks aren't as prone to respiratory diseases as chickens are, and that's one reason why you don't have to give medicated duckling starter like you would to a chick. So they are less likely to have respiratory diseases and all sorts of other diseases. For a practical example, over the last couple years we've had a ton of issues with our chickens, not avian flu, but just various issues. And we have had zero, I count it 0, knock on wood, issues with our ducks getting any sort of disease. Along with that, ducks are also very hardy to cold weather. I mean, they get in the water when it's freezing out here. So they're not as prone to, getting too cold or anything else like that, as long as they can get in and out of their water easily. That's opposed to chickens. Well, chickens are a little cold hardy, at least certain breeds are more so than others. Ducks in general are, more cold hardy than chickens. And secret number 10, and finally, they are just so much fun. Ducks are just hilarious to watch them run around, huddle around in groups, especially if you have a goose like Clarence. They're just fun to watch. They're fun to play with, especially if you have nice ones that'll come up and eat out of your hands. They're just a blast to have around. And I highly recommend that anyone who has a small farm at least thinks and considers getting ducks to complement their chickens. So that's it. That's the 10 secrets that nobody will tell you before you buy ducks. If you guys have any questions, more so than this, or you're thinking about ducks or not sure and just had a burning question, please put it in the comments below and let us know, and we'll be happy to help you guys out in answering any and all questions that we possibly can. So thanks guys for joining us today, and we'll catch you next time.